You have retrieval augmented models and other things, which means these models now interact with existing data sets and knowledge sets. So you use something like Perplexity AI. It doesn't only answer your questions with GPT-4, it gives you references. So you can say, what about MAD? And it'll link to all of the things as it gives individual stuff. And this will only advance from here. So you can dig into as much depth as possible that you want with a whole team of people around you, even if you're by yourself. So you should never be alone again in terms of you can be connected to people like you in the same problem as you. We can build better teams, and all the information of the world is at your fingertips in a way that it was never before, including your own private information. So like one of my favorite apps, it does use some battery, is Rewind AI. It takes a screenshot of your MacBook screen every time it changes and OCRs it. And then it gives a timeline. So I can type in impact theory and it will look through everything that's ever been on my MacBook screen. It's all stored locally, and find where impact theory is on YouTube, or there's a picture of this mug, and it shows it in a timeline. So I can go back and I can see what I looked at before or after that.
What? Wow. So you can map your own sort of connective trees with whatever.
And what happens when you combine that with a language model? Everything you see on your screen stored locally with an open source language model, it creates the memex, and it sees what you've paid more attention to versus less attention. Again, they're dystopian versions of this. I'm talking about the utopian version, which is ADD me can finally remember what I was doing, what I was looking at, the context, the search tree as I was searching all these different things, clicking from place to place. And then you can set agents to go and recreate that journey and search all the other stuff that you didn't search. This is really positive because, again, how much of our life is done searching for knowledge, searching for information that's relevant to us?
Talk to me about the paper, Attention is All You Need. I've heard you and other people bring this up multiple times. I haven't read it, but this is like the big breakthrough.
Yeah, this was the 2017 paper by the Google team, all of whom now left Google. And basically what it was is that classical big data took big data and then Facebook extrapolated it so that when it found 17 pieces of information about you, it could target you with ads. That was the classical big data thing. They even create shadow profiles of you. So when you go on Facebook, they actually got a shadow profile that they then connect to your real profile.
What's the shadow profile?
Like, it's like, what if there was a Tom on YouTube, on Facebook? Because there's all these connections to this unknown person. And then it just fills you in automatically. That's why it figures out your preferences so quickly without listening to you. So Attention is All You Need said that not all data is important. You need to pay attention to what is important in a sentence, what's important in a time series, because that's the nature of being able to spot the tiger in the kind of thing. That was the missing part. And so the transformer architecture that came from that, and you have different architectures now, is what led to GPT-3 and others, general purpose transformer.
Why is it called transformer architecture if what it's doing is pinpointing what's important? Why not important architecture or
Well, kind of, again,
architecture?
attention is the mechanism that it does to kind of transform the information, tokenize it, and then figure out these latent spaces of meaning.
So are the tokens the important pieces?
The tokens are important. That's how you take a word and then you split it up into its constituent parts, and then you try and figure out what the most important part of it by doing pattern analysis at ridiculous scale. So something like a GPT-4 would use probably from the kind of things on semi-analysis that have been leaked, if they're correct, it uses a supercomputer 50 times faster than NASA's fastest supercomputer for like 3 months. It uses like 20, 30 megawatts of electricity.
Whoa.
And 10 trillion words go into that, and it figures out all the connections between them and what generally comes next. So what it does is just literally figures out what word comes next. And so this was a big breakthrough, because what it meant is that you didn't have to have hugely complicated big data algorithms. You just needed to have very large compute to scale. And so compute went exponential, and then you just threw more and more GPUs at it, and it figured out more and more things. And as you scaled, it had more and more emergent properties, which surprised everyone.
Do you know who John Nash is?
Yeah.
It sounds like that. So John Nash, he unfortunately was schizophrenic, but he's the guy from A Beautiful Mind. For people that don't know, watch the movie Russell Crowe, fantastic movie. And he obviously doesn't know he's schizophrenic. and he starts seeing patterns in everything.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that this thing is, whatever the human brain, whatever algorithms we have running that allows us to very quickly suss out what's important, that it's doing that, but at an extraordinary high
Yeah,
level.
you have to remember, like, there's a saying, all intelligence is compression. You take everything you've listened to this, you only remember a few things.
Mm.
And the whole of computer science is based on information theory from Claude Shannon. And if I want to summarize it, information is valuable only if it changes a state, or as much as it changes a state. So if listeners are listening to this and they don't take away anything, this is a useless thing, or maybe they just put it on the radio because they like hearing your voice or something like that, right? But if they take something away from it, then it's valuable. You've had a good use of your time. So you start seeing patterns in everything. But one of the things that, again, people I think misunderstand about this technology is GPT-4 is not a program. Stable Diffusion is not a program. It's a large amount of text, images, etc., where the output is a single file of ones and zeros. It's like a filter. You can recursively kind of put something through it, but it's just guessing the next word when you type a prompt.